So recently I just posted a video about books that are perfect for autumn kind of vibes and books that are perfect to read around Halloween. So now I thought it would be fun to kind of just do a quick video of my own autumn TBR for this year. So I have 13 books, which I did not mean to do, but it's kind of perfect because 13 is a spooky number. I don't know if I'll actually get to read all of these books, but these are definitely the books I kind of want to choose from. And if I do end up reading all of these, that would be awesome. First off, I really want to get to Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. This is one that I wanted to read last year, but I just didn't get to it. So it's definitely a priority for me this year. I think this one is like a paranormal ghosty kind of vibe, and Rebecca haunts like a house that someone lives in. I'm not entirely sure though, because I don't want to read any spoilers for this one, so I haven't read much about it. But then I would love to read The Final Girls Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I love me some good Grady Hendrix. Earlier this year I read My Best Friend's Exorcism, and then I think last year or the year before I read The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, and I loved both of those books, so I'm hoping that this one is just as good as those. I'm assuming that the title kind of says it all for this one. It's a support group involving final girls, whom, if you don't know what a final girl is, it's like the last woman standing at the end of a horror novel or movie. Definitely could be interesting. I'm assuming not all of them are going to survive this book, but that's kind of my hypothesis going into it, and we'll see if I'm right. Then if I'm feeling up for it, I was kind of thinking Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. I have seen this movie, but never read the book before, and I love Pride and Prejudice, so I thought this one would be kind of a fun one to pick up this year. So basically, it's Pride and Prejudice, only there's zombies in it, and Elizabeth Bennet is a complete badass. If I get time, I'll definitely reach for this one. Then obviously, I have to read something Stephen King, and so Cujo caught my eye. First of all, it's like one of the shortest Stephen King novels that I own that I haven't read yet. That was definitely a selling point for me just because I have so many books on my TBR. I also haven't read this one or watched the movie, so I don't really know what's gonna happen. All I know is that like a Saint Bernard kind of goes rabid and I'm guessing starts killing people. My childhood dog was a Saint Bernard though, so I feel like if anything happens to this dog, even if it's evil, it's still gonna make me really sad, but that's fine, we'll deal with it when we get to it. So I also put another Stephen King on my TBR. I have Thinner by Stephen King on hold with my library, the audiobook edition, and I'm really hoping that I get it in the next few weeks and I get to actually listen to it and finish it before Halloween. That would be great. I know nothing about this one, only that this version is narrated by Joe Mantegna, who plays David Rossi in Criminal Minds and also Fat Tony in Simpsons. So honestly, that's the only reason why I put it on hold for my library, and hopefully the book is just as good as Joe Mantegna's voice. Then there's a few ebooks I really want to get to on my Kobo, because Lord knows I have enough ebooks that I have not read of like over 200, so I need to get to some of those. I definitely want to get to Gothicana by Runix. This one I believe is like a dark romance retelling of Beauty and the Beast. I could be completely wrong, but I think that's what it is. And just the cover alone looks like a vibe, and I definitely felt like maybe I wanted a bit of like a spooky romance. Then I'm hoping to read When Life Gives You Vampires by Gloria Duke. That one is more like a spooky rom-com, and I think the main character wakes up from a one-night stand turned into a vampire, which sounds like a really fun time for me reading it, not for her. And then I'd love to read Suburban Hell by Maureen Kilmer. This one is like, I think PTA moms, and they form some sort of club or something like that, and one of them ends up getting possessed, which sounds absolutely terrifying because sometimes just PTA moms on their own are kind of terrifying. So I couldn't imagine one being possessed by a demon, but that one definitely sounds very interesting and probably going to be a bit terrifying, but I think it's supposed to be kind of like funny as well. Then I have a couple of poetry collections that I like to get to. So the first one is The Complete Poetry of Edgar Allan Poe. Obviously, he is very well known for his dark, spooky, atmospheric poetry, and the only one I've ever read by him that I know of was The Raven, and I had to really like dissect it for school when I was in like grade 11. So it wasn't my favorite at the time, just simply because I had to dissect it, but I'm hoping now that enough time has passed, I can reread it and actually appreciate it for what it is. And I'm definitely looking forward to reading a little bit more by Edgar Allan Poe because he is so well loved for this kind of genre. I feel like I'm bound to like at least one of them. And then I'm hoping to get to this collection called Poems Bewitched and Haunted. This is just a little everyman's pocket poetry edition, and it's just a bind up of a bunch of different poems, some old, some newer, and they've all got kind of like a spooky Halloween kind of vibe to them. So that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm definitely hoping to read this one throughout kind of October. And then there are a few graphic novels that I want to get to. There might be a couple more that I reach for come October. I haven't really decided yet, but these are the 3 that I really, really want to read this year. So the first one is obviously Fangs by Sarah Anderson. I read this last year and loved it, and I read it the year before actually and loved it as well. So I'm trying to kind of make it a tradition to read it every single year around Halloween. So this one is just a cute little bind up of kind of funny comics about a vampire and a werewolf who fall in love, and it's very dark humor, so it's right up my alley in that sense, and it's a lot of fun. If you have not read this one yet, I highly recommend it. It's so much fun. And then I'm hoping to do another reread, which is Twistwood Tales by A.C. MacDonald. I read this last year, I think in the summer. I couldn't wait until fall to read this, to be honest with you, but this one is also full of a lot of dark humor and is really, really funny. It's like punny as well, but it's very short little comics. Some are only a couple pages long. Others I think might be a little bit longer. They kind of interweave with each other as it goes on, but it's a lot of fun. The art style is a lot of fun as well. I know it looks kind of like juvenile by the cover, but it's definitely not. It's very funny. And then I would love to read the graphic novel for Carmilla. So this graphic novel was inspired by Carmilla by Sheridan Le Fanu, and it's by Amy Chu and Sue Lee. Last year I read Carmilla and I loved it so much. It is a very short, classic lit vampire horror novel, and it was actually written before Dracula and is said to have inspired Dracula. So this is just the graphic novel edition, and I thought I would give this one a go this year just because I would love to read Carmilla, but I feel like I've already got so much on my plate. I just don't want to overwhelm myself with too many books that I want to get to, so I thought this would be a really good kind of compromise on that front. Honestly, I cannot wait to get to any of these. I'm so excited for autumn and the spooky season and Halloween and all of that. But that's gonna do it for me for this video. Let me know in the comments what your autumn TBR is for this year. I hope you have a great rest of your week and happy reading.